It's my great privilege to introduce the final honoree here this evening, and while my other colleagues have struggled in some measure to find a connection between the honoree and foreign policy, I have an easy job because John Sexton, the president of NYU, New York University, is a foreign policy. He is all by himself someone who, wherever he lands in the world, he decides it's time to create another NYU. And that is what he has pretty much done over the long course of his presidency, because he has been convinced that education is really a global network, and he's looking toward the establishment of what he calls a global network university. And this is something really very original in education, in higher education. John and I got together more than 15 years ago in a famous meeting now in some coffee shop in Midtown, where we talked about the lamentable parochialism of lawyers in America, both of us being very much involved in lawyering. The fact that we had great law schools, but very few of them taught anything in the way of international law, comparative law, the recognition that any good lawyer coming out of law school would be practicing on a global arena. And John and I decided to do something about it. And out of that came what is now, I am proud to say, the Hauser Global program at New York University, which my husband and I largely funded. And when we did it, I recall people in the law school environment somewhat laughing at John that he had such enormous ambitions. We were both together at an annual association meeting of deans of all the American law schools in Santa Fe, where I gave the major speech, and people came up to me jokingly and said, well, what will Sexton do next? Is he going to have a galactic university? And I defended his proposition, in which I was a partner, and I'm happy to tell you that there is no significant law school today in the United States that does not have a global university, that does not have a global program, that does not have an approach to teaching legal education, which was what John and I kind of put together and which has become the basis of the whole approach to legal education. It led to a major reform in legal curriculum at Harvard Law School, at NYU Law School, at Stanford, and all the great law schools of this country, and has brought many professors of law from all over the world to come and teach here in America, and has presented our professors the opportunity to teach abroad. John's great achievement, of course, as I said in my opening remarks, is that he has created a wonderful new university, a liberal arts university in Abu Dhabi. One is being established in Shanghai. And as I said, wherever he lands, he somehow creates some kind of an affiliation between NYU and the place in which he is. John is a force of enormous change, much of which met with resistance, but he persisted, and he has now really changed the face not only of legal education, but of education as a whole. The one thing that he does teach, which I still don't quite understand, since John insists on teaching, even though he's the president of this vastly expanding university system, he teaches a course called Baseball as a Road to God. And he tells me tonight that it will be the title of a book to be published by Penguin at year-end, which I am awaiting mightily. I don't understand baseball too well, and John has yet to convince me there's such a thing as God, but I am looking forward to that book so that I can get the understanding that animates John in this class, which is one of the most popular courses at NYU. So it's my great pleasure, really, for friendship and originality and dynamism, to present the award of the Foreign Policy Association, its medal, to John Sexton.
See, I do this for a living. So.